reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome in to a beautiful Sunday afternoon up here in the Boston area. Well, my name is Rick Farron, and this is JW World News Sunday edition. Friends, what we do here is we try to keep you right up to speed on what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. And so many people right now are leaving the Watchtower, and that's an amazing thing, and how happy we all can be to see this happening. Well, anyways, we got a lot to talk about today. And we thank the people too. I want to take the opportunity to thank people for sending me information. I get emails, I get Facebook messages, I get a lot of things happening here from you guys sending me information on the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I want to let everybody out there know that I really appreciate it when you send me that stuff in. So if you have anything you want to as newsworthy, send it here to jwworldnews@gmail.com, and that will keep us right up to date on what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, let's take a look. At what is happening here. We talked briefly about it last night. We'll talk just a little bit about it today. Friends, we've always been saying here since the very inception of the six screens that the internet is the great equalizer. That is what's really making a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses do their research. It's so much easier today to do research and find out really what, in goodness name's sakes, going on in the Watchtower. Right now, and we're estimating this. This is an estimate. I mean, don't take it and say Rick said it for sure. This is an estimate, but based on surveys we've done here and people calling up in the last 20 years of doing the program, as of late, we've been asking about how many PIMOs do the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses think there are in the organization. Now, we know Jehovah's Witnesses, they say they have 9 million people in Jehovah's Witness religion. Maybe that's not true, but if it is, so we have the estimate here is there's 4 million PIMOs. Now, in case you don't know what a PIMO is, maybe you're listening in here for the first time, but a PIMO is a person that's physically in, no, let's hold on one second. Physically out, mentally in. We get so many acronyms here. We get some new ones I was going to discuss, but we'll bring that up next Saturday night. But PIMO is a person that's physically out, mentally in. Hold on. I'm sorry, Emery. Thank you for helping me. I've got some callers trying to come through to spam it, so it did take my attention away from my notes. But yeah. So, anyways, thank you for that, Emery. So, what we have? How many PIMOs do you think there really are? How many do you think there really are in the organization? That is, people going to the meetings in a perfunctory fashion. They don't really believe the Watchtower. They don't want the repercussions of leaving, and all the family problems are going to come across. So 4 million, that is remarkable. Think about it. Now, the Watchtower, we mentioned many times on this program, for the sake of new ones, there's been 2 periods in Watchtower history where they have lost 250,000 people. The first time was when Russell died and when Judge Rutherford became the president. That was back in the mid-20s. And what happened back then when Rutherford became the president, a lot of people didn't agree with him, and 250,000 Jehovah's Witnesses, they left. They left the organization. They were Bible students is what they called them back then. So 250,000 people left the organization in the mid-20s. And then in 1975, another 250,000 people left the organization because of the Watchtower saying the end was coming, and it didn't. So people said, enough of that. And so the following 2 years, 250,000 people left. Now, I'm going to bring you right up to speed, where we're talking about those that are PIMOs, physically and mentally out. we're talking about those guys, and we're saying there's 4 million of them. Now, how can that happen? Boy, if all of these guys decided to leave at the same time, it would be unbelievable. But the Watchtower knows they're there. The Watchtower knows this. Do you think that I'm saying something they're not aware of? Well, why do you think they're having all these articles in current Watchtower magazines to stay away from apostates, and all of the almost every week in the Watchtower study they're saying to really to stay away from people that have difference of opinion, or even not just the apostates, but even just stay away from people in the congregation. This is how I know the Watchtower knows there's PIMOs. They know there's people going to the meetings that don't really are loyal. They're not loyal people, and governing body knows it, and so that's why they have to keep saying it in their Watchtower articles. And they're even saying now in some of the latest articles that even be aware of people in the congregation. Never mind the apostates, but be aware of people that might be sitting next to you. They're saying now that they may not be as loyal as you would think. So the Watchtower is totally aware of all of these PIMOs. Isn't that something? But anyways, will the Watchtower be able to survive with the internet and now with AI? We talked a little bit about that last night. And really, when you stop and think about it, AI, well, an IQ measurement. If you have an IQ that's, over 100, you're doing pretty good. You're pretty smart. Now, what do you think AI's IQ is? AI, artificial intelligence. You can chat GPT, Copilot on Microsoft. What do you think their AI's IQ is? Well, it's 138. Now, 138 is pretty good. It's not the best. Now, to give you an idea, genius Einstein, he was 160. So if you get to 160, you're a pretty smart person, but not everybody has an IQ. Maybe Elon Musk, right? But not everybody has an IQ of 160. But there's plenty of people. Well, not plenty. In fact, if you have an IQ of 138 like AI has, that's 99% of the population does not have an IQ that high. Did you know that? So, you can pretty well trust AI, right? And what it does is it tries to search for facts. It tries to give you scientific facts as well as historical facts or whatever you're trying to research. But what I wanted to say about AI is a lot of the witnesses, they won't take that. They'll take that as AI's lying to them. So, it's the same thing when, we as apostates would show a fax copy or a copy of a Watchtower magazine to a witness. They would say, well, you doctored it up. So the witnesses aren't going to believe it. But I'm just thinking, we're entering a new age here. Everything is changing. It is. Even if you're a younger person right now, you can see the world's changing. And us older people, geez, we feel like dinosaurs. Everything is changing so fast, but not necessarily for the worst thing. Sometimes it can be for the better, as we mentioned here on the program. But what I'm trying to really make known here today with this AI and this modern age of intellectualism is how long can people believe in the Watchtower when this stuff is readily available? This isn't, 1989 anymore. This is 2025. We have come a long way, people. We have that cell phone. You have a smartphone. That's your second brain. You can ask that cell phone any question you want. You'll get an answer within 2-3 seconds. When was the fall of Jerusalem? What year did the Wizard of Oz win the Best Picture in the Academy Awards? You can have an answer. That's like having a second brain. So Jehovah's Witnesses have got to be questioning a lot of these things that's going on in the Watchtower right now. They got that cell phone. They got the computer. They're finding out. They're finding out what the Watchtower is hiding behind. But there's one story I wanted to bring up today, and I wanted to bring it up right now. Let me scroll down to it because I think it's pretty fascinating. This just came across last night. I didn't even mention it on the news last night. I didn't have time. But we got good news coming out of Canada. Oh, Canada, our neighbors to the north. Now, what's happened in Canada, particularly in the Grand Forks congregation, that's over in British Columbia, the Jehovah's Witnesses Watchtower, they lost an appeal in the court system up there in British Columbia. And what the Watchtower has always done, and we all know it, we would give them records and they keep notes on us. Well, let's see now. We talked to Brother Farron back in August of 2001, and then we talked to his child in August of 2022, whatever it would be. They keep records. The elders, they keep records on people in the congregation. Now, when this happens, you don't even know what that record has about you. You don't know what the information is. So there were two Jehovah's Witnesses up in British Columbia, and they went forward and said, "I'm going to sue. We're going to sue the Watchtower. We want to know what's in our records. We want them." So the elders said, "No, that's private," and even told the court systems that this is private matter, and this is not for everyone to be able to have. We have to keep these records. But the court didn't buy it. So now the elders, at least up in British Columbia, they have to. If a witness comes forward and says, I want my records, I'm leaving, give me my records, they have to give them the records. But for years, the Watchtower has fought on the idea that, that belongs to them. It doesn't belong to the person, and they have the right to keep all this information on you. So I am so glad to see countries having different position now on the Watchtower. And I hope that can happen in America. It hasn't happened yet. The elders, they can hold information about you, and they don't even have to give it to you. So, a lot of witnesses that leave, including even myself, I would have loved to get my records. But, even if you are moving, we know how that works. Suppose you were in the Tewksbury, Massachusetts congregation, you're going to move to Naperville, Illinois congregation. So what they would do is you say, gee, can I get my records? I'll bring the records with me to Illinois when I move there. No, they won't give them to you. They're going to mail them. You're not going to see your records. Don't you think that you have the right with everything else about privacy today? You join Facebook, you join YouTube, you got to make all kinds of agreements with them and check the box. Don't you think that you have the right to know what the Watchtower has on you? Canada, thank you. Thank you very much. And that just happened a couple of days ago. So we see good news coming out of Canada. Isn't that wonderful? And I'm so glad to see all of this happening, because what it's showing me, and it's showing the rest of the world, how devious the Watchtower organization is. People are reading articles in the paper about this. They're seeing clips on TV. They're looking at YouTube videos. People can really see the Watchtower is getting a really tarnished image. And, when they see all of these countries, even though, sad to say, that the Watchtower won their appeal in Norway. How disappointing was that, right? And even concerning that, I'm not going to sidetrack too much on this, but the circuit overseers have been programmed to say certain things. And it was shocking to me. Shocking to me. I got information from a sister this week. And in the congregation that you went to, it was shocking. The circuit overseer came in and he said, isn't it wonderful how we have won in Norway? And he's bragging about it. And he says, those apostates, all of those people that came in and the state used as witnesses to try to destroy us, they were all apostates and they were lying. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? And, not everybody's buying that. Those, in fact, they had a psychiatrist that was in the court, and he made the comment to the Norwegian government, and he was in favor of the Watchtower. And the psychiatrist said to the court concerning how they shun people and how they hurt people in real life, they destroy families. The psychiatrist convinced the country of Norway that, there's really no psychological abuse there. There really isn't. And that psychiatrist also said that, these people are very negative. very negative. Hey, would you be negative if you were raped as a little kid? Would you be negative if you were shunned by your family members that you loved? You love your mother, you love your father, you love your kids, and now they don't even talk to you? Did you think that could generate negativity? I mean, think about it. Of course it could. But yet, that psychiatrist convinced the Norwegian government that there's no psychological damage. Don't worry about that. That the Watchtower doesn't cause psychological damage. What about all the suicides? What about people that have committed suicide? Would you call that psychological damage? Well, what about people who had relatives and friends that have died for refusing a blood transfusion? Would you call that psychological damage? I would. I think most of you guys would as well. So I wanted to bring that up today and share those thoughts with you. And it was so. I'm a little disappointed with that whole Norway thing, but in some respects, I think we kind of won in the court of public opinion. I'm not going to be downtrodden over the whole thing. But when I think about what happened in Norway, in a way, we kind of won. In a way, we did. The ex witness world won, exposing them. And I'll tell you why. The Watchtower, they were bald faced liars going into that Norwegian court. And, they lied like you couldn't believe on so many things that are not truthful. And just to give you an idea, they tried to explain to the court in Norway that, they don't really shun in the truest sense of the word. And they even changed the word disfellowship to remove. So the Watchtower made a lot of changes before they went in for the defense. And another thing they did is remember that it was back in 2016, I believe, that convention video, that Jehovah's Witness convention video, where the young girl was shunned and kicked out of the family. And she tried to call her mother and her father, and they wouldn't answer. The phone was ringing, you'd see it. Well, they took that video off of jw.org. It's not on there now. And they took that off in view of going in to defend themselves in the Norwegian court. So, here they are. Why would they, if they had nothing to hide, why would they take that video down? So they tried to really present the best case to the court. Then they used that crazy psychiatrist guy to help them, and then claim there's no real psychological damage. And the witnesses, the ex-witnesses, are just very negative to begin with. I don't buy that story. I don't think you guys buy it either. But anyways, that's what's going on. And a lot of you guys still are feeling the adverse effects of that. But don't worry. I always say on the program, especially on Saturday nights, that, all of us apostates together. I give them all credit. Those doing YouTube videos, those writing books, those that have websites. You're my ally. Maybe at times all of us don't agree on the same thing, but we're all trying to fight the Watchtower. We're all trying to expose exactly how evil this organization is. And you're my friend if you're fighting against the Watchtower. But, we, for many years, all of us apostates, have not been able to get points on the scoreboard. We tried so hard. I started 20 years ago. And, try to get points on the scoreboard was very difficult. Jehovah's Witness News 20 years ago, it was all good stuff. I hated to even bring it up on our program, but there wasn't a lot of negativity about the Jehovah's Witnesses. And when I gave the news, what was going on is everyone thought the Jehovah's Witnesses were wonderful. There was always articles in the news and on the internet about the conventions and how the Jehovah's Witnesses love one another and they're coming to our town, our city for a convention. They're going to spend a lot of money. There was always positive stuff like that. That's not the case anymore. We are winning. The apostates are getting points on the scoreboard. Yes, the red lights are dinging. We are getting points. I should say the green lights, right? But anyways, what I wanted to say about that is now we have countries that are putting the Watchtower under the microscope. And Norway was one, but let them go. We've got others. How about Belgium? Oh, yes, Belgium. Well, Belgium is on the Watchtower's case. They're sick and tired, too, of the shunning, the child molestation cover ups. Well, let's talk about Japan. Oh, Japan. They are doing a wonderful job exposing the Jehovah's Witnesses. And you know what they're doing in Japan? What they're doing in Japan is it's not totally about the hiding of child molestation. What Japan hates about the Watchtower organization is they flog their children. You say, well, flog. We don't use that term here in America that much. They use it in other countries. I think England does. But they flog their children. That is, they hit their children. They use corporal punishment. Japan hates that. Look at Japan's a pretty civil place. You know, they have a police force, but the police force are not like you see them here. They're not military trained police force. There's very few crimes committed in Japan. Did you know that? So they don't like any type of violence at all. So they can't stand the fact that Jehovah's Witness parents beat their kids, and some of their kids are beat to a pulp. We all know that. So Japan is coming down on the witnesses because of that. And then you got to move over to some other countries like Slovakia. Well, they're also upset. And it looks like some of these European countries, too, are going to take the money away, the charitable money that's given to the Watchtower in some of these European countries. So we see all this happen. Denmark's another good example, an excellent example. They're doing the same thing. They're following suit like Norway. They're actually looking into the fact of maybe taking away their stipend amount of money they get every month. So we see countries that are really starting to also come down on the Watchtower. Any thoughts at all? Anyone want to say anything? Well, come on right now. Hit *6. And aren't you glad to see all of these changes taking place? Aren't you glad to see that the apostates are starting to win a battle here or there? We haven't won the war yet, but we're starting to build. We're starting to win a battle at least. So go ahead, Ken. What do you have to say?
Oh, yeah, just one more comment there. I don't know if you got the update or not, but in Norway, it's not over with yet. There's a possibility that the state can still go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court does have an opportunity to instate the, it's taken away the status from the Watchtower Society. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on that. That is the last that I heard on it, unless there's some new developments.
Yeah, there's still.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, there is still a chance, Ken, and I just don't want to get everyone's hopes up so high again. There were so many people. There were ex-witnesses, Ken, crying over what happened in Norway 2 weeks ago. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I believe it, and so forth. And it was really outrageous, but we hope that the situation will be like Montana again, that eventually that it's going to be reinstated. And but even if it isn't reinstated, there's still the opportunity to bring the witnesses down by public opinion, and I think it can happen in Norway because it's easier to bring down a religion over there than it is, say, in the U.S. or somewhere. So we just hope for the best, and we just hope that the government will see the light and that they will reinstate the case against the Watchtower.
Well, we certainly do hope and pray that all happens, Ken. Thank you very much for weighing in.
Okay. Thank you, and you have a good day now, and God bless and be with everybody.
Well, thank you. Well, friends, we are so glad that you could come and be with us today on JW World News. And I must say, really, that it's amazing to me. It's really, really amazing to me to see what's going on in the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And they are changing so rapidly. And at the same time, they're changing a lot of their doctrine. But also, we have to say that these changes, not every one of the witnesses are buying it. And now we're getting reports coming in, and it hasn't been this way for a few years now, but now we have a bunch of baby boomers they're starting to leave the Watchtower. Many of them are leaving. Now, this wasn't the case, and now I'm finding that it is the case. And I'm saying, well, what is the catalyst? What is causing a lot of these baby boomers to leave the Watchtower? Well, it's probably a number of things, but first of all, you could go with false prophecy. How long can you really hold on? Some of these poor baby boomers, they're my age, 76. I'm 76. Some of the baby boomers are even older than me. And so consequently, what they're doing is they're saying, just let that go. Yeah, okay, I get calls coming in all over here. But what I wanted to mention as well is these baby boomers are leaving because they have been told that Armageddon's coming, right around the corner. They didn't have children, they didn't have careers. They're really financially hurting today because they listened to the advice of the Watchtower. So a lot of them are saying, that's it. I'm not hanging on anymore. I give up. So that's good too. And the young ones are leaving. The young ones are leaving by the hundreds, by the thousands, perhaps by the millions. They don't want any part of the Watchtower. Well, I want to thank you all for coming on and being with us here on JW World News Sunday edition. We have a program coming up next. It's called The Christian Court. Now, don't go heading for the mountains. We have a good time on the Christian Court. And what we do is we answer peculiar questions that Christians have. And we get some interesting questions coming up on the court next. So thank you for coming in, and keep standing tall. Don't you guys ever give in, up, or out. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. I'll see you on JW World News Sunday in 2 weeks. In the meantime, stay tuned for the Christian Court right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork.